Want to know what successful people are doing with their money to create wealth and use it consciously for the greater good? Welcome back to Wealth Unplugged, the weekly podcast that gives you diamond tips on creating conscious wealth from change makers, world shakers, and wealth creators. Now here's your host, Barbara Turley.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Wealth Unplugged podcast. Look, I'm so excited to be bringing the show to you today because it coincides with two things really. The launch of Energize Wealth, which is my wealth strategy and coaching business for women, and also the launch of my new YouTube show, Feminine Wealth TV. You know, when I was thinking about what kind of podcast I wanted to do and what would be best to serve my audience, I realized that what most people really want is the key takeouts from successful people so that then they can implement that into their own lives. So instead of just repurposing my Feminine Wealth TV show into a podcast, I thought, why not go a step further for my audience and isolate my key takeouts from the interviews and discuss them here on the Wealth Unplugged podcast. So here we have it, Wealth Unplugged. So I'm feeling quite pumped for this first show because I just did a fabulous interview with Heather Porter from Autopilot Your Business. Now, not only is Heather an amazing femtrepreneur, she's also a red-hot digital strategist and one of my key mentors and the digital strategist on my Energize Wealth Strategy Dream Team. So my clients get to work with her as well. And look, I chose Heather for the first show because she has what can literally only be described as a total rock star career. She has worked with some of the world's most famous motivational speakers like Tony Robbins, Christopher Howard, and that's just to name a few. She also co-founded a group called the Billionaire Adventure Club and worked on Tony Robbins' Wealth Mastery Tour all over the world. I mean, that's pretty amazing stuff. And she's an amazing woman to kick off a show about wealth. So I know I was hungry to get the inside scoop on the strategies and tips that were talked about on the Wealth Mastery Tours, and I was totally fascinated by her experiences on the Billionaire Adventure Club. I mean, traveling the world with top mentors and trainers, teaching clients and giving back to humanity at the same time, that's amazing. You should really go and listen to the whole interview on Feminine Wealth TV. You'll absolutely love it. So to get on to my key takeouts I got from interviewing Heather, they were just great. The first one, it's great for any of you out there that might be in that I wish I could start my own business, but I'm stuck in this day job kind of mode. So Heather took a job initially way back in the beginning of her career working in IT, even though her passion was for promotional events and all things a lot more glam than IT. But she needed a job to pay the bills, as we all do. So many of us just stop right there and wait in that job that burns our soul until someday we can leave and do what we want. But not Heather. She used the money she earned from that day job and her spare time, evenings and weekends, to get Porter Productions off the ground. She was a kind of an IT geek by day and then glam eventorama girl by night. But what I didn't mention is that her IT job was actually with Tony Robbins' company, so she was quite strategic in the beginning. But one evening, a few of the women from the Tony Robbins events team showed up at one of her side gig events to check it out and saw that it was her that had organised it. They were so impressed by her, they offered her a job on Tony's events team, travelling around the world with him. What I absolutely loved about this story is the fact that she used the money she made from her ho-hum job to fuel her real passion and get it moving. And it caused a domino effect in her life that led her to where she wanted to go. I mean, that's just brilliant. And you know, Heather's story, it really got me thinking about passion and making things happen in your life. And I remember I was at a point where I badly wanted to run my own business. It's a good few years back now. And I didn't have quite the funds and the money to do it, so as a lot of us would suffer from that. But I started blogging anyway. I just wanted to do something. And I was blogging on the way to work, on the bus, on the way home as well. And that blog, it was amazing. It was such a little blog, but it opened up so many interesting doors for me that would have remained completely invisible had I not done something. I always call that my starting a business from the bus experience. I should write a book one day called that, I think. So, you know, on your road to wealth, don't just give up and resign yourself to mediocrity. Decide how bad you want something and then figure out what resources you do have to make it happen. Even if you don't have money, you probably have time, energy, and your network. So you got to work it. You really got to work it, baby. Okay, so key takeout number 2 from me, from Heather Porter, was about money and emotions. She talked about some of the biggest things she learned from the mentors and trainers on the Tony Robbins Wealth Mastery Tour. And apart from all the strategies and tactics to make, grow, and protect your money, all of which I was completely fascinated by. But the biggest learning for her was to stay away from making any financial decisions when under the influence of emotion. Ladies, listen up. All logic goes out the window and your ability to do proper due diligence and make a rational decision is completely lost. This certainly resonated really deeply with me, not just as a woman who likes to spend a lot of money and knows the emotional high I get from buying something I love, but I remember my days working on the equity trading desks of some of the world's largest investment banks. We used to have this thing it was like a term we called the boredom trade. And basically what that meant, it was a trade you put on when the market was quiet and obviously doing nothing. But your intense boredom with the nothingness would lead you to try and make stuff happen. And invariably, the trade would lose money. It was the deadly boredom trade. We used to even slag each other off about it, falling into that trap. Even the best of the best did it occasionally. But I guess we're all human after all. So, moving on to my final key takeaway from Heather's interview. Obviously, with her being in the digital marketing space, I was fascinated to find out how much money there really is to be made out there online. The answer is tons. Did you hear that? Absolutely tons of money. But there's a big fat but, and actually this was something that Heather really stressed. It's all getting really, really real out there. To do good business on the internet today, you need to be so real. Authenticity, it's the new black. You just need to be you. So, stop trying to be someone you're not. Even if you think nobody's interested in you, think again and you just get real. You've got to go and check out the whole interview, as this is really just a snippet of what we talked about. It's on my website at energizewealth.com. So head on over there and be sure to let me know what you think of it. I'd really love to know your feedback and what you think of the interview. If you want to find out more about Heather Porter as well and her digital agency, you can go to her website, autopilotyourbusiness.com, or you can catch her on her personal website, which is heatherporter.com. Look, guys, it's been a pleasure, my first episode. Remember to tune in next week when I'm going to be sharing what I learned about the connection between self-worth and net worth with Debbie Spellman. See you then. Have a great week.
Thanks for tuning in. Come and join us on energizewealth.com to continue the conversation. Get your free video training, 7 Steps to Energized Wealth, and watch the video interviews that were the inspiration behind this episode.